Next, we have Lou Elwell coming up. He's the CEO of Soil Enhancers. He's a serial entrepreneur. He was awarded the Entrepreneur of the Month through Entrepreneur Magazine, which is very impressive, and also has a degree in finance and management from the Wharton School. And we're happy to have him. So with that, Lou, please come on up.
My X is, how can we help the world feed itself? According to the Population Research Bureau, if we sat down the entire world at a dinner table tonight, we'd have to add another 228,000 plates. Tomorrow night, another 228,000 plates. No time off for weekends or holidays, keep adding another 228,000 plates. That's a lot of pizza. Now, that wouldn't be too bad if the farmland supply was increasing with the population. However, it's not. The EPA says that the U.S. is losing about 3,000 acres a day to development, and the United Nations has said that we're now at peak farmland, that we're now in an inexorable decline in the amount of land available. Even that wouldn't be too bad if the amount of crops per acre were increasing. However, you can see if for a decades-long increase in yield, we've now starting to flatten out. In fact, the one that's the most interesting there, if you can see it too clearly, by the way, I hope you don't mind, I'm using a green pointer and it's bigger because we're a green product and we make things bigger. But rice here at the bottom is the orange. The price of rice in China is 2 to 4 times the price of rice in the U.S., yet the yield is only 1 or 2% higher. So higher prices don't necessarily allow us to increase the yields. You can see the same phenomena with sugar prices in the U.S. So when you have increasing demand and a stable or decreasing supply of farmland, the best case, that leads to higher prices. Worst case, to shortages of food. Another word for shortages of food is famine. Fortunately, we have a solution. We call it Fertilizer 2.0. This is how fertilizer is currently made, which consumes about 14% of the world's natural gas supply and 1% of the world's electricity, a lot of energy. And we want to take a step backwards. Sometimes a step backwards is progress. We have copied what Mother Nature does. So this is also known as the Brown Revolution, rebuilding the soil, where we emphasize the biology, naturally occurring microbes in the soil, not the chemistry. I'll bet you that there's not more than 1 in 1,000 farmers that does a soil analysis on their soil for biology. Yet when they do a soil analysis, they all do chemistry. So we're focusing on the biology. So if there's one takeaway from this presentation, it's that microbes provide higher yield every field. The SumaGrow products, which is the name we call it, is simply concentrated Mother Nature. It's all naturally occurring microbes. There's nothing that's genetically modified. The OMRI, Organic Materials Review Institute, would call us organic, approved for all forms of organic production without limitation. It is not a compost tea. It is something that's constructed under laboratory conditions, and it works in harmony with existing farming methods, easy to apply, easy to store, less expensive than fertilizer. So here's some of our laboratory stuff. Again, you can see this is not an idea. It's not a concept. It's not vaporware. This is something that is actually in production. In fact, it's in commercial size production. These are 300-gallon tanks. We have a 25,000 square foot facility, and we are currently selling product. This is a farmer 4 years ago using our product. This is how his soil looks today. You can notice that it's structurally different. You can see the difference, and you can actually smell the difference. Good soil smells better because of that naturally occurring microbes. That change in the soil allows one thing, reduction in reduced compaction in the soil so that you don't see much standing water here, but all the fields around it, you can see standing water. And that water runs off, it takes fertilizer with it, causing pollution, dead zones, etc. Our water goes into the soil and stays there. That reduced compaction allows the roots to grow bigger. This is our soybean roots. This is what the roots look like with conventional fertilizer. Significant difference. They also go deeper, broader, accessing more water, more nutrients. So we end up with bigger crops. And I should say, not only is it not genetically modified, it's not nuclear powered. This is a sweet potato, bigger than a football. Cucumber, bigger than a dollar bill. If you know anything about soybeans, they typically come below the waist. Here's our soybeans, 5 feet tall. You might notice there's a few more green leaves around. Same farmer, same field, same weather, same seed, same everything. Conventional fertilizer, SumaGrow. Cotton. Again, cotton normally grows to below the waist. This is acres and acres of cotton. This is our cotton, 6 feet tall. It's been used in over 40 countries around the world. This is 10-foot tall corn in Honduras. Here's conventional fertilizer. You can notice that that's much shorter than over here. Look at his up to his knees, midway up to his elbow. That's orchids in the Dominican Republic. Okay, a bit faster. Works on grasses, forestry, anything with a root that's grown in soil. Validated by numerous independent universities, PhDs, test facilities, farmer co-ops. We were named the Grand Award winner in the green category, Popular Science magazine. The last 2 years, the Inc. 500, the second and fourth fastest growing private manufacturer. This is a very interesting study. The American Academy of Microbiology came out with a report, How Microbes Can Feed the World. Obviously, that was their conclusion, the best and the brightest from around the world. They came up with a grand goal. They called it ambitious and gave it a catchy name, 20, and 20. 20% increase in yield, 20% reduction in fertilizer in 20 years. We are doing the 20% increase in yield, 50% reduction in fertilizer minimum today. There's other benefits besides the yield increase, fertilizer reduction, reduce the need for irrigation water. We increase the nutrient levels. The food actually tastes better, higher Brix levels, bioremediate the soil and water, faster, higher germination rates, earlier maturation, and we sequester carbon. So since the analogy for this conference is the moonshot, this year is our leaving the rocket is leaving the pod, and 2015 is our year. A little bit of luck, a little bit of assistance. We think that we can change how and how much the world grows. Thank you. Sign-up sheet here. If anybody wants to give me an email address, we'll put you on our mailing list.
Free vegetables.
So, sounds amazing. So, how do you scale? How does this go from wherever those spots you were showing us to a much larger proportion of farmland?
We've done two things to scale rapidly. One is our marketing program, where we have a co-branded licensing agreement, SumaGrow inside. So we have numerous licensees that have their brand, you know, ABC, XYZ, whatever, SumaGrow inside. Some specialize in organic only, some go after golf courses, some go after just the country of Vietnam. So they're doing the marketing. We stick to our core competency of manufacturing and R&D. The second thing on the manufacturing, we're using the Coca-Cola model. We'll make the secret syrup and have blending or bottling plants closer to the customers. We're looking to open up in 2015 in New Zealand and Panama.
So this is very interesting. There's a lot of technology interest in microbes and in your body as well as in the soil. Actually, this is the first one I've seen in the soil. It's very interesting. Kind of interested in your competition. Or is anybody else doing something similar?
Sure. First of all, thank you for posting on LinkedIn. That's how I found out about this conference. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, most people ask the competition question. They're thinking of other microbial or biological competitors. Frankly, that's not really our competition. Our competition is fertilizer companies. When we win, that's who loses. Other than in turf, I don't think we've come across another competitor that's selling a similar product. But the big boys are aware of this. The CEO of Monsanto was on record as saying that biologicals is the next major platform for agricultural yield increase. They just paid $300 million plus staff to a company in Europe called Novozymes in exchange for 50% of the profits of a product to be developed that doesn't do as much as what we do.
That's great. So you're ahead of the competition. How does your price compare with standard?
Our price is a fixed price per gallon, and it's 1 gallon per acre. Very highly concentrated, so that typically it's, I'll say 50% less than fertilizer, but corn uses a lot more fertilizer than soybeans. So on soybeans, maybe it's 10 or 20% less than fertilizer. On corn, maybe it's 60, 80% less.
How does your product get consumed? I have a field, I put it on it, it's microbes, it's live. Do I ever need to do anything ever again afterwards?
Yes. I equate it to vitamins in the body, just like vitamin C. It's at its best when your body is totally saturated and the next tablet of vitamin C goes right through you. We are putting the maximum amount of microbes in the soil. Not just the quantity, but the proper balance of microbes, so that the microbes, for example, New Jersey will die off over the winter. Some of them will go into a spore-forming mode and hibernate in essence and come back in the spring, but not all of them. So we improve the soil. If you only use this once, you will get better results the following year, but if you want the optimum results, you have to keep using the product.
So what's your biggest challenge right now in terms of rolling out your product to a larger market? Well,
Money's always welcome, but honestly, the biggest thing is somewhat surprising is the regulatory environment. There's a lot of jurisdictions that don't know what to do with this. We're not fertilizer, we're not a chemical. Our export code is miscellaneous agriculture. So that I was in South America this past spring. I went to Chile, and they said, we have no regulations, so come on in. I went to Uruguay, and they said, we have no regulations, so we can't let you in. I have orders right now in a dozen countries that are waiting for a piece of paper. Even in the U.S., there is absolutely idiotic regulations. We have to have 6 different labels just to sell within the U.S. In one of the states, we had to certify that we're not a terrorist. I always wondered who checked the yes box. So regulatory approvals.
What's your manufacturing capacity right now? How many in acres? How many acres can you supply in a given month?
It would be about 85,000 acres per month. We are in the process of doubling that, so that by April we expect to be double that. We shipped this month probably 35,000 acres. Now, I'm using the gallon per acre, which is our standard. If it's very poor soil, you'd want to use 1.5 gallons. If you're growing organically with no other fertilizer, 2 gallons. If you have diseased or insect problems, you'd want to use 2 gallons, but at 1 gallon per acre, those are the numbers.
Do you have other questions?
Anybody else?
Yeah. I just had one more. We're actually, if you read my bio, we're in the same business.
I got that, yes.
And what, have you made adjustments for different soils and different climates and different soil types? And
Yes and no, though the answer my wife hates. My partners and I have over 20 years experience in cultivating microbes, historically for waste bioremediation, specifically restaurant grease traps. Beef grease is different than chicken grease is different than restaurant oils, etc. So we have a polymicrobial formulation that, in layman's terms, has the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines. Whatever conditions they encounter, there's something in there to fight. So that we work in high pH, low pH, temperate weather, hot weather, sandy soil, clay soil. Again, 49 states and over 40 countries have used our product.
Cool. Very cool.
So just so you have an idea of what's happening next, as everyone's kind of like, all right, well, that was great. We just saw these amazing ideas. So this is the first event that we held. So this is one of a few coming up, and Todd's going to highlight some of the future events. But from the east of the Mississippi, it's like this team you saw today are kind of cultivating ideas on behalf of the Google Software X team. So it's very exciting. And what we're doing is taking some of the top moonshots that come out of this, a New York City and Boston event, and bringing them to this main amazing event. Just really going to be an epic opportunity to highlight their idea amongst a group of amazing scholars to help further the concepts, further the ideas, and bring this out to the masses. And with that, I'll let Todd highlight some of our upcoming events. Todd.
Yeah, so thank you again to everybody for coming out. This is an amazing turnout. Thank you to the pioneers, ridiculous, and panelists. You guys were unreal too. Yeah, so as Clark mentioned, this is the beginning. This is ground zero for this movement here that we have on the East Coast. We didn't have to do all this. Like when we got accepted by Google, what the charge was this here. This is the event that we had to do. That's at Rutgers. That's the main event. But what we're doing is, so we, again, over here in Montclair State is the very first event. The next event, if you liked what you saw here, we're going to be at Google NYC at their Chelsea Market office. It's just across from the main Google office there. And then we will be up at the Grommet on January 12th. And again, that's up in Somerville, Massachusetts, just right near Cambridge. It'd be awesome if some of you went up there. Little road trip, that'd be cool. But check out Google. And there's another one that we didn't put out there yet. We just kind of inked this. It's Stevens Institute. So we're going to be at Stevens on January 15th. So that should be fun. The reason we added that was because there's been such an amazing influx of ideas, and we wanted to make sure that we gave a proper opportunity to all these people to present. We probably could have had 10 people here today, to be honest, but we don't want to keep you here until midnight. So yeah, so that's what's coming up. There's one little interactive thing I wanted to do with the crowd. As you saw before.
Not a picture of me with no beard. That's not what he was talking about.
Oh, jeez. Okay. With the what's your X? 1 second, sorry. Jeez. Okay, there it is. All right. So I'm asking if everybody can just do a little crowd participation, little flash mob. Please do your best X right now. I'm going to take a couple photos. Everybody, come on, stand up. Come on, stand up, stand up. Yes.
Looks like the YMCA.
Get your arms as straight as possible, like opposite with the leg. There you go. It's harder than it seems at first. Oh, this is awesome. Okay. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, and that's basically it. Thank you for coming out. We have some time to network.